Day 15, Last Call, Revealing Your Heart. This is the 15th devotional for 1 month to live. Since Alexander Graham's invention of the telephone in 1876, lots of technologies for communications have been invented, such as satellite, teleconference, wireless, mobile, and hands-free communications. While it seems you can reach anybody, anywhere, anytime, I wonder how often real connections occur. Experts tell us that 80% of all communication is nonverbal. Facial expressions, hand gestures, body language. So when we talk to someone on the phone, we're only expressing about 20% of what we're trying to convey. So phone calls and video calls can be the beginning of our communication. But true communication is achieved by meeting together. Have you ever experienced difficulty because your intended message was miscommunicated? Most of us have probably experienced being misunderstood this way. Why does this happen? In order to have good communication, the author says that you must first open your heart before you open your mouth to speak. It's ultimately motivating our communication with them. The only way they can truly know our intention is if we pay the price of revealing our heart. Without this relationship building effort, we cannot have sound communication. This is precisely the reason that God Himself took on flesh and came down to this earth. He came in flesh and communicated His intentions with words we could understand and formed relationships with us. The Word became flesh and made His dwelling among us. We have seen His glory, the glory of the one and only, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. John 1:14. Jesus communicated with us by leaving His home in heaven, coming to this earth, and putting on human flesh so He could reveal His heart to us. He opened up His heart and made Himself totally vulnerable, even though He knew He would be rejected and misunderstood, in order to show us who God is. Until we open up our hearts to those we love, we will never experience a communication breakthrough. One vital way we open our hearts to those around us is by sharing our time. In our overloaded lives, we often try to relate to others efficiently, doing what saves us time, energy, and money. But relationships don't exist and grow according to rules of efficiency. It's the opposite. Even though it may seem unproductive, sitting around and talking, laughing, eating, and playing together builds relationships. When you waste time on relationships, it grows. And when the relationship grows to the point where we can share our troubles, weaknesses, and mistakes, then we are finally sharing our hearts with one another. No one wants to reveal their weaknesses. It's natural to have fears that people will dislike us and look down on us if we admit our mistakes and reveal our weaknesses. But when we live life concealing our weaknesses, we're putting on thick armor on our hearts, which becomes a heavy burden. It is hard to connect with our heart that's heavily guarded. Even the mightiest warrior will take off his armor when he returns home. When we can take off the armor on our hearts and share openly, we become family. If there is something in your house church that is open about their weaknesses and mistakes, that is someone who has taken off the armor and comes to the meeting with a sincere heart. When we openly share our weaknesses and mistakes, our hearts connect. It's so strange. When we share our troubles and weaknesses, others also share their troubles and weaknesses. People put on their armors when they face something strong, but they take it off in front of someone weak. This is why God of heaven came in the weak form of a helpless baby. The reason why we, as Christians, can take off our armors, become weak, is because the one who is strongest of all is with us. We often pretend like we're listening, but instead we are thinking of what to say next. When we do this, we miss the intentions of the other person. We don't know how many times we listen to ourselves and not the other person. Why is that? Genuine communication can't be done without love. Don't focus on how will I look, but when you focus on the other person, you can hear their heart. Then it gets easier to speak the truth in love. There are times when you can express disagreement, hurt, and emotions without criticizing the other person. It is because you are respecting the other person when you speak truth to them. Then you build trust within each other. We grow as we have more truthful conversations. We become more like Christ. Instead, speaking the truth in love, we will grow and become every respect the mature body of Him, who is the head, that is Christ. Ephesians 4:15. Married couples who grow closer to God, they also grow closer to each other. As we grow closer to God and dwell in Him, He sends a clear signal to those who we want to communicate with. If the relationship is rough and you don't know what to do, send a signal to God. Pray for God to open their heart and to be able to say what is needed to be said. Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Jeremiah 33:3. Genuine communication is when you meet together, share, and understand one another. Take off your guard and have the courage to risk showing yourself. Listen intently to hear the words of their heart, even when they don't express it. Except that I can't express myself entirely with words, and humbly ask God to open the path of communication. Commitments. How well am I communicating? Am I listening and delivering well? Do I have the courage to take down the guard in my heart and face the truth? Have you experienced genuine conversations when you accept your weaknesses? Let's spend at least one day without media and the noise of the world to have wholehearted conversations with the special people in our lives. Pastor Jung's commitment. I've experienced a lot of people as a pastor and realized that everyone's desires to have good relationships with one another. But there are many reasons why there's conflict. First reason might be because of your sin. Second reason might be because of the other person's sin. Third reason might be because of environmental factors. It's different when people meet for casual meetings or ministry or business relations. Mature and more experienced people are able to better go through these situations. This world has so many books on relationships. I thought about why. It's because it's so important yet difficult. I will share 2 things I've learned through my experiences. When I experience awkwardness in a relationship in the community, I realized the need for relationships, so I set aside time for a quick meal or meet up. One thing to remember is not to give up when it's hard to make time. And trust that the other person desires to grow in relationship with me, as well as take responsibility over that. Recognizing that brings me a place of humility, and it can only go up from there. The other person will also feel your humility. This is to help you experience the truth in God's Word. Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, not serving to become the greatest, but you must become influential as you serve. So have joy in place of service. These 2 are my continual commitments.